Otherwise, I will move ahead and you collect all your queries and then I will take it up some other day. So, if you have any question on linear programming, otherwise, I will move ahead. And today I'm going to start with another important topic in linear programming. So, right from the start, what we have discussed about linear programming is we have a real life problem and we convert them into mathematical expressions to solve. Uh, we have not discussed anything about the type of problem. Right from the start, I discussed that the nature of the problem can be different. Sometime it would be an HR problem. Sometime it could be a costing problem. Sometime it could be related to marketing. So we cannot specify. But the point is that there are certain areas in management which are very common, which are very specific, and we can deal the problem related to that area separately. Two broad type of problem which a business organization encounter very commonly is number one, the problem of transportation. That is, transportation means transfer of goods or services from one place to another. So we also call it as logistics. We also call it as supply chain. In simple language, we call it as transportation. Something is manufactured, something is developed, and it has been transferred from destination, from origin to destination. So origin to destination, जहां से वो बना है और जहां वो जाएगा, that origin and destination transportation problem is a very common type of problem that business organization face. Today, I would like to discuss with you how can we solve the problems which are related to transportation with the help of linear programming. So one type of problem is transportation. Second special category of linear programming problems is the allocation of work. So allocation of work, which is a common issue in case of human resource or in case of manufacturing organization, how you would allocate the work from to one person and to the other, the workers of the company. That problem we call it as assignment. So two type of problem which are segregated, which are taken care of separately are the number one we call them as transportation and the number two we call it as assignment problem. These are also known as specially structured linear programming problem. So you may note down somewhere specially structured linear programming problem. तो जहां भी लिखा होगा specially structured linear programming problem, we are covering two types of problems: transportation and the number two is assignment. Today, I would like to throw some light on transportation problem, which the name itself give you an idea. This is the problem of transporting goods or services from origin, that is from one place to its destination. So from origin to destination. Now, will the approach will remain the same? The answer to this question is that no, the approach will have some changes. What do you mean by some changes? I mean to say that if you have seen that in the conventional linear programming, we convert them we convert them, the problem word problem into mathematical expressions, and then we solve it out. Here, in case of transportation and assignment, we need not to convert them into mathematical expression. We need to convert them into different areas altogether. How do we convert that problem? How do we solve that problem? That is the point of discussion. So give me 1 minute of time. I will just open up my PowerPoint presentation to make you understand it better. Is my slide visible to you?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So this is the topic which I'm going to cover: transportation and assignment. Now, first one is the transportation, which I am going to discuss it with you. As usual, I would like to discuss this point with you that uh, when we talk about transportation, the name itself gives you an idea. But when we enter into the details of it, you have to understand this subject in its language. You have to understand this subject in its terminology. You have to write down the expression as mentioned in the method of transportation. So it has its own language. तो आप देख रहे हैं right from calculus, differential calculus, integral calculus, and then linear programming. Every aspect, every area in quantitative method has its own language. This presentation, which I am going to discuss with you, talks about specially structured linear programming. What is that specially structured? Because it is specially designed to solve the problems of transportation and assignment. Now, the point here is that what is we are going to discuss with you. We are going to discuss with you the transportation and the assignment problem, and the key point of difference between the previous linear programming and this linear programming, especially structured linear programming, is that conventionally linear programming is the method of converting the problem into mathematical expression. लेकिन यहां पर हम क्या करेंगे? We need not to convert them into mathematical expression. We have to draw tables. We sometimes call them as matrix, and then all the calculations are on table. And I am saying mathematical calculation, but the calculations are very, very simple arithmetic calculations like plus and minus. That's it. Need not to apply any formula. यहाँ कोई बड़ा formula नहीं है या कोई theorem नहीं है. यहाँ सिर्फ you have to do plus and minuses. The only point that you have to understand here is the logic of the method. So this is not mathematics. This is simply logic, and you have to understand it that as if you are playing a game. जैसे आप कोई game play कर रहे हैं, जैसे हम कहें कि हम chess खेल रहे हैं, and we are following certain rules of the game. So you are playing a game, and you have to follow rule, you have to follow logic, and you can solve the problem. And the solution is based on development of the table. Okay. Now, one more thing that I would like to discuss with you, that you know that linear programming problem, the step number one is always we write down. Yes, in linear programming, step number one is what?
So to form the table.
After that,
Objective
function. So the point is that we should remember that objective function is the important thing. Objective functions can be of two types, maximum and minimum. The point that you have to remember here is that the problem of transportation and assignment are designed to cater only one type of objective function, that is minimization. So they are applicable when the objective function is minimization. But does it mean that we cannot solve the problem of maximization? Then the answer is no, this is not like this. We can solve the problem of maximization, but we can convert that problem into minimization first, and then we apply the method. So in summary, the method of transportation and assignments are designed to solve the objective function of minimization. But if the objective function is of maximization, like profit or revenue or sales, then you have to convert the problem first into minimization and then apply the method. I will elaborate this concept with the help of the example. First, let us look into the method. What is this method of transportation? The diagram explains you the logic. The diagram explains you the language, the representation, the terms and the terminology used in transportation. You see the left hand side, we have the source. Plant 1, plant 2, plant 3. Factory 1, factory 2, factory 3. Warehouse 1, warehouse 2, warehouse 3. This is the source. जहां पे कोई सामान बन रहा है या रखा गया है. So we have this one source. Right side of the picture, you will see the destination. Market 1, market 2, market 3. So destination stands for customers. So the problem is that goods or services are transported from source to destination. And you see the lines are drawn from source to destination, and all the possible lines are drawn. So if we quickly count how many lines we have from source to destination,
Nine lines.
Nine?
So 9 lines.
9 lines. Simple. 3 into 3, 9 lines. So possible routes. These lines are possible route. ये वो रास्ते हैं जिससे कोई सामान सोर्स से डेस्टिनेशन पर पहुंचाया जा सकता है. How many possible routes are there? We have 9 possible routes. So what are we doing right now? हम कर क्या रहे हैं तो फिर? Our job is that we cannot use all 9 routes. So we cannot use all 9 routes. So what we can do here? We can have to choose out the best route out of that 9 lines. And the best route is the optimal solution of the problem. हमारे पास 9 रास्ते थे सामान को सोर्स से डेस्टिनेशन पर पहुंचाने के लिए. We cannot use all 9 routes. We have to pick and choose. Now, out of that 9, which is the best route for us to transport the source and from source to destination? That's the whole story all about. Now, let's see the style of writing. You will see two symbols here, X and C. Now, I hope you understand. X always represent the number of units, the quantity. So X represent the quantity and capital C represent the cost incurred in transporting goods from source to destination. तो नेचुरल है कि कैपिटल सी इज अ कॉस्ट, जो खर्चा आ रहा है, जो कॉस्ट इनकर हो रही है सामान को सोर्स से डेस्टिनेशन पर ट्रांसपोर्ट करने के लिए. और एक्स क्या बता रहा है? कितनी क्वांटिटी का सामान हम सोर्स से डेस्टिनेशन पर पहुंचा रहे हैं, ट्रांसपोर्ट कर रहे हैं. नाउ हाउ डू वी राइट? दैट्स अ पॉइंट.
So you are not audible.
Yes, I'm sorry for the break. Am I audible to all of you?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So let me
Yes, sir.
okay. So let me start with this. I'm saying X is the quantity and C is the cost, transportation cost. Now see, it's already there. Xij. So what does this? I is standing for source and J stands for destination. तो जैसे लिखा हुआ है X12. So what does this mean? X12, a quantity is transported from source number 1 to destination number 2. लिखा हुआ है X21, for example. X21, what do you understand with this? X21.
So
What?
that the
From
quantity of
source to
from source 2 to market
destination.
1.
Which source? Which source?
So
X21.
plan 2. So
Plan 2. Plan 2
to
to
market 1.
destination.
To market
To
1.
market 1. X13. What does this mean? X13. A quantity transported from source 1 to destination 3. Right? So tell me, X32. What does it mean? X32.
Plant 3 to source 2.
Plant 3 to source 2. Now, same terminology, same logic is used for cost. C, for example, C21. So, what does this C21 stands for? Capital C21. Capital C21. Yes, please.
So cost of transporting goods from plant 2 to market 1.
Yes, the cost
Yes, sir.
incurred, in transporting goods from plant 2, that is source 2, to destination 1. Right? C33. What does it mean? C33. बताएं आप लोग, मुझे कोई और बताए? अनम अनम और जिशान और रिजा, इन लोगों के अलावा और लोग बताएं.
So from plant 3 to market 3.
हाँ, from plant 3 to what quantity or the cost? I'm saying
Cost.
C33.
Cost, sir.
So it's a cost.
Cost incurred in transporting. You should have a proper understanding. Cost incurred in transporting. Cost incurred in transporting goods from plant 3 to destination 3. ये सबसे बेसिक टर्म लैंग्वेज है ट्रांसपोर्टेशन की, जो बिल्कुल क्लियर होना चाहिए. And always remember that the diagram which I'm showing in front of you is, it's a snapshot which always flash in your mind whenever you solve the problem of transportation. जब भी आप ट्रांसपोर्टेशन की कोई प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व करेंगे, ये तस्वीर आपकी आंखों के सामने होनी चाहिए कि ये डायग्राम है, ये सोर्स है और ये डेस्टिनेशन है, एंड दिस इज एक्स एंड दिस इज सी. दैट will help you to formulate and visualize what actually you are doing. Okay? Now, as I have already discussed, that any technique or any method that we discuss in mathematical or quantitative analysis is a step-by-step process. We have witnessed this in linear programming. We have observed this in linear programming, that linear programming is divided in 2 stages. Stage number 1, बताइए, repeat करिए. Stage number 1 क्या होता है?
Formulation.
And stage number 2,
Solution.
solution. So formulation and solution, ये 2 stages हैं, और दोनों स्टेज सीक्वेंस में. First you formulate and then you solve. Nobody can do it that first they solve and then they formulate. So it's a step-by-step process. Same stages are applicable in transportation. Transportation method is divided in 2 stages. Stage 1 is not formulation. Stage 1 is known as initial feasible solution. What do we call? Initial feasible solution. Once we calculate the initial feasible solution, then we move to stage 2, which we call it as optimal solution. So the terminology is like this. Stage 1, initial feasible solution, IFS, and stage 2 is the optimal solution, that is OS. Now the anatomy of the method is, the structure of the method is that for initial feasible solution, to determine the initial feasible solution, we have 3 different methods. How many different methods? 3 different methods. Initial feasible solution निकालने के लिए हमारे पास 3 मेथड हैं. And once we calculate the initial feasible solution, we move to stage 2, and for stage 2 optimal solution we have 2 methods. तो अगर हमें इनिशियल फिजिबल सॉल्यूशन निकालना है, हमें 3 मेथड में से कोई भी एक मेथड यूज कर सकते हैं, और जब हमें ऑप्टिमल सॉल्यूशन निकालना होगा तो हम किन्हीं 2 मेथड में से एक मेथड हम यूज कर सकते हैं. So what I mean to say is that transportation is a method which is divided into two stages, stage one and stage two. Stage one is the identification of initial feasible solution, basic solution, and then we move to optimal solution. That's what I will show the same. We have
Sir, sir, just a query, sir.
बताइए.
सर इसमें अभी हम लोग जैसे कंप्यूटर में वो जो हम लोग ग्राफिकल एल्गोरिथम यूज करते हैं इसमें भी हम लोग वही यूज करेंगे या कोई और यूज करेंगे मतलब इट इज कंप्लीटली डिफरेंट.
हाँ, अभी उस पे आ रहा हूँ मैं, एल्गोरिथम पे आ रहा हूँ. ठीक है, अब ये देखिए आप, पहले ये स्लाइड देखिए आप. That anatomy of the method is that initial feasible solution can be determined by using any of the above three methods. What are they? Northwest corner method, least cost method, and Vogel's approximation method. तो अगर हमें initial feasible solution निकालना है, we can use any of the three methods: northwest corner, least cost, and Vogel's approximation. If we have to apply optimal solution, if we have to calculate optimal, which is quite natural, we have to calculate optimal solution. We have two methods: stepping stone method and Modi's method. So in summary, जब भी आपसे कहा जाएगा calculate initial feasible solution, you can choose any method: northwest, initial, least cost, and Vogel's approximation. जब आपसे कहा जाएगा optimal solution, तो you have choice: either you go for stepping stone or you go for Modi's method. एग्जाम में जो क्वेश्चन होता है, it always has two part. Part number one, like in case of linear programming, it also has two part. Part number one is initial feasible solution, and part number two is optimal solution. Now let me start with the method of solving it out to all of you. Fine. Now, before we move into the technicality of the method, there are certain things that you always keep in your mind. What are those things that you always keep in mind? Like linear programming में जैसे था कि we have the mathematical expression which are linear in nature. You plot it on the graph paper. You get a straight line. You identify the feasible region. You identify the corner, and then you test each corner which is the best solution. ये rules थे linear programming के. Transportation has a different story. The only point is that it does not involve any mathematical formula. What it involves is, let me quickly go to that. Number one point is, a language problem is given to you and you have to convert that problem into tabular form. First is always, जैसे linear programming में किया था, we read the question and we convert them into tabular form. Okay, then we have to write down the supply and the demand, the demand and the supply. What is the demand? Demand is given by the destination. What is the supply? Supply is given by the origin. आप देख रहे हैं ना, ये पूरा खेल क्या है? ये पूरा खेल है origin और destination का. Origin, that is plant. वहां से हमें क्या मिलता है? Supply. And where it goes to destination. वहां से हमें क्या मिलता है? Demand. So it's all demand and supply. So we have to understand this point in that way. Now the entire discussion revolves around that you have to maintain a balance between demand and supply. आपको क्वेश्चन दिया जाएगा, उसमें आपको डिमांड एंड सप्लाई को बराबर करना है. You have to maintain the demand and supply. So whenever the problem is given to you, first thing is that we have to check whether the demand and supply is equal or not. If the demand and supply is equal, the problem is known as balanced problem. I'm repeating. अगर डिमांड और सप्लाई बराबर है, the problem is balanced. अगर डिमांड और सप्लाई बराबर नहीं है, the problem is unbalanced. The method which is devised, which is developed, is designed, is meant for balanced problem. If it is unbalanced, we have to make it balanced. ये बड़ी इंटरेस्टिंग बात है कि जो मेथड आपको बताया जाने जा रहा है वो बैलेंस्ड के लिए बनाया गया है, लेकिन अगर प्रॉब्लम अनबैलेंस्ड है तो पहले हमें उसे बैलेंस करना होगा. You cannot apply the method for unbalanced. What do you mean by balance and unbalanced? क्या मतलब है बैलेंस अनबैलेंस का?
सर जब डिमांड और सप्लाई इक्वल होंगे तो वो बैलेंस होगा, और जब डिमांड और सप्लाई अनइक्वल होंगे तो वो बैलेंस होगा. लाइक इन द केस ऑफ इक्विलिब्रियम, जब हम लोगों का, अगर आप लोग
Fine,
सर्टेन
fine,
सिचुएशंस देखें उसमें भी.
fine. Okay. So that is what we have: demand and supply. We have to restrict ourselves to only the issues of which are related to transportation. Okay. अब बाकी जो भी डिस्कशन करेंगे, whatever the point which I am going to discuss, first I will show you the problem, because you read the problem and then you will understand what I am saying here right now. What is demand and supply? What do you mean by balance and unbalance? What would happen if it is unbalanced? ये सारी चीजें खुद ब खुद crystal clear हो जाएंगी once the problem is there in front of your eyes. Let's see the problem. Are you able to read this problem?
Yes, sir.
Yes sir.
I will give you 2 minutes to please read this problem. Okay, so let me read this problem for you so that you will understand it from my point of view. Okay, how many source do we have in this problem?
So 3.
So three.
Name them.
So ABC.
ABC. How many destinations do we have?
The 4.
Four.
PQ or S.
Acha, one myth or one misconception which I would like to break it right now, because I have discussed the problem. I have shown you the diagram where 3 sources and 3 destinations. तो कहीं आप ये कंफ्यूजन ना बैठा लें अपने जहन में कि डेस्टिनेशंस एंड ओरिजिन्स आर इक्वल. नहीं, ऐसा नहीं होता है. डेस्टिनेशंस एंड ओरिजिन कैन बी अनइक्वल आल्सो. You have seen here three sources and 4 destinations. So A, B, C, and we have P, Q, R, S. Then what is given this ये जो नंबर दे रखे हैं, what are these numbers all about? 12, 7, 6, 10, 13. What are they?
So cost of shipping charges, cost.
Per unit shipping charges.
Per unit transportation charge, shipping charge.
Which is
Right. This is the information which is given in the form of table. There are some additional information which is given in the question but not in the table. What are they? The daily output of 500, 300 and 200 units of A, B and C. So output of A is 500. So ये 500, what is this? Is it demand or is it supply?
Supply.
so supply.
Supply.
Plant A कितना supply कर रहा है? 500.
700.
Plant B कितना supply कर रहा है? 300.
300.
Plant C कितना supply कर रहा है? 200. So the supply figures are 500, 300 and 200. Correspondingly, there are figures for requirement of the warehouses. PQRS with daily requirement 180. What do you call this requirement in the R language?
So demand.
Demand. P की डिमांड कितनी है? 180.
So 12, 180.
Q की 150. आगे बताएं. आगे बताएं.
So 350 R की है और 320 S की है.
So these are the demand. Now what we need to do is step number 1. If you quickly recall, converting this entire problem into the problem of into a table. पहले हम इसे पूरी complete table बना लेते हैं, so that things are clear to all of us. I will change my slide and show you what I mean to say by this step. Is it what the step? Is it what the question which we have right now? Right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. Now, what is not mentioned here in this table? I intentionally have not mentioned it here. सब कुछ दे रखा है, but things are not. One thing is not mentioned. What is not mentioned?
So
here?
manufacturing is the output of ABC.
Don't call it as output now in the language, in the terminology of transportation.
Supply. So
The
supply
demand and
of
supply is not written.
So what I will do, I will insert one column to the right यहाँ पे, and I will write it down supply. And what I will do here, I will just insert यहाँ पे रखे, I will insert one row element. And what do we call it as? Demand. अब आप बताइए, what shall I write it here? A, how much? 500.
500, 300, and then 200.
100. What shall I write it here? 100.
So 180. So 180.
180.
150. 150.
Then
350 and 320.
50 and
320.
up. This is the complete information. Now, before we move ahead and we start talking about solution of this question, what we need to do here is we have to check one thing. What we need to check it here? Is this the problem a balanced problem or is it an unbalanced problem? Which, according to the definition, what is balanced? Where
So
supply
demand
is
equals
Demand
to some.
equal to demand. Equal.
balance is that problem where supply is not equal, demand is not equal to supply. Balanced is that situation when demand is not equal to supply.
So balance is a situation where demand is equal to supply.
Demand is equal to supply. मैं देख रहा हूँ बाकी सब लोग जाग रहे हैं या सब सो रहे हैं? Are you all awake or you are sleeping? क्यों भाई? कौन कौन लोग हैं? मैं जरा नाम देखता हूँ आज कौन है, पूछूँ जरा सा. हाँ भाई, समीर सिद्दीकी, you are here?
Yes, sir.
Samir, what is balanced?
When demand and supply are equal.
Good. Can we have Usman? Usman, you are here?
Yes, sir.
Usman, is this point clear? Demand and supply equal? Balance problem?
Yes.
और
Yes,
अब तक
sir.
जो भी टेबलर फॉर्म में प्रेजेंट किया है वो क्लियर है?
Yes, sir.
Okay. जुमैरुद्दीन? Fine?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Vanshika, clear?
Yes, sir, clear.
ठीक है, good. And Sayantan Mujumdar,
Yes, sir.
clear?
Yes, sir.
Good. Shama, clear? Shama, am I audible? Shama Fatma? शिवांगी अग्रवाल?
Yes, sir.
क्लियर है जो मैं बता रहा हूँ? मैं कह रहा देखें और भी लोग. अजीजुर रहमान, यू आर हियर? अजीज? अच्छा. आशुतोष द्विवेदी, यू आर हियर?
Yes, sir.
क्लियर है?
Yes, sir. Clear.
मैंने कहा कोई 4-5 लोग बेचारे रेगुलर रिप्लाई करते रहते हैं बस, और बाकी तो सब लोग मतलब थोड़ा सा सब लोग एक्टिवली पार्टिसिपेट किया तो लगेगा हाँ भाई समझ में आ रहा है सब लोगों के. So let me now check. So if I take the sum total of supply, how much this is?
1,000.
1,000.
1,000.
If I take the sum total of demand, how much it is?
1,000.
1,000.
1,000.
This is the way that you write. आप इसको ऐसे लिखते हैं. चलिए ऐसे लिख लेता हूँ, थोड़ा छोटा कर देता हूँ. This is the way. 1000 by 1000. That is demand supply is equal. So this is clear that this is a balance problem now.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So this is clear that this is the balance problem 1000 by 1000. So now what we can do is we can go ahead with our algorithm, with our steps of solving it down. अब हम ये clear है कि हमें इसमें करना है. So let me move ahead, and before I move ahead, recall the anatomy, recall the structure of the solution. क्या है ट्रांसपोर्टेशन? अगर कोई समरी में आपसे पूछेगा तो ये क्या है, अगर आपसे इंटरव्यू में पूछा व्हाट इज ट्रांसपोर्टेशन, तो आप क्या बताओगे? इट्स अ 3 स्टेप प्रोसेस, इट्स अ 2 स्टेप प्रोसेस.
So 3-step process. We will be calculating. We will be figuring out whether the demand is equal to supply, and on that basis, we will apply the solution.
Just
Sir,
hold for a minute. Two stage.
two step.
Two steps, sir.
It's a 2-stage process. Stage number 1,
Feasible.
I agree.
Initial feasible solution.
Feasible solution.
and number 2 is
Optimal
Yes.
solution.
Optimal.
Optimal solution.
इनिशियल फिजिबल सॉल्यूशन निकालने के लिए कितने मेथड है हमारे पास?
3 methods.
Three methods, sir.
नॉर्थ वेस्ट कॉर्नर, इनिशियल फिजिबल सॉल्यूशन एंड वॉगल्स अप्रोक्सीमेशन. और जब हम उसको कर चुकेंगे तो फिर वी मूव टू स्टेज 2 वेयर वी हैव 2 ऑप्शंस, स्टेपिंग स्टोन एंड मूडीज मेथड. पहला मेथड लेते हैं, पहले स्टेप पर आते हैं. पहला स्टेप है, पहला मेथड है हमारे पास, पहला स्टेज है हमारे पास इनिशियल फिजिबल सॉल्यूशन. और इनिशियल फिजिबल सॉल्यूशन करने के लिए फर्स्ट मेथड इज द नॉर्थ वेस्ट कॉर्नर मेथड. तो अब आपके सामने नॉर्थ वेस्ट कॉर्नर मेथड, देखिए क्या है. अभी आपको थोड़ी देर के लिए ऐसा तो नहीं लगा कि मैं कुछ आपको केबीसी देख रहे हो आप कुछ?
Not at all, sir.
चल ठीक. Let me move to this method, northwest corner method. What is this method all about? I don't want to share with you the technicality of this method altogether. Let me first of all tell you the logic. स्टार्टिंग से ही मैं आपको ये बता रहा हूँ कि इट डज नॉट नीड एनी मैथमेटिकल कैलकुलेशन, फॉर्मूला, थ्योरम, नथिंग. जो सिर्फ समझने वाली बात है वो है द लॉजिक. In the mathematical analysis, the logic is given in the word used for the method. What is that logic? The method is named as northwest corner. So what is this northwest corner? You have seen this table, and there are many cells in this table, starting from 12 figure to the last 7. So from 12 to 7, you will see there are many cells. Now in each cell, you have to move ahead. Starting cell is the cell, that is the calculation start from the cell which is at the northwest corner direction. So if you see the northwest corner direction, which is that cell? The cell is AP, that is 12. जो cell AP आपको नजर आ रहा है जिसकी वैल्यू है 12, this is the northwest corner cell. So starting of the method is the northwest, and in that method the starting cell is northwest corner cell, that is 12. अब हम करेंगे क्या उसके अंदर, नॉर्थ वेस्ट कॉर्नर सेल में हम व्हाट वी नीड टू डू? आवर जॉब इज दैट वी आर एलोकेटिंग द क्वांटिटी, बिकॉज दिस इज द कॉस्ट व्हिच इज गिवन टू अस एंड वी आर एलोकेटिंग द क्वांटिटी. हाउ डू वी एलोकेट द क्वांटिटी? फ्रॉम वेयर डू वी गेट द क्वांटिटी? एंड द एलोकेशन स्टार्ट विद द सेल व्हिच इज एपी, व्हिच इज हैविंग अ कॉस्ट ऑफ 12. तो हम क्वांटिटी को एलोकेट करेंगे, और कैसे एलोकेट करेंगे? हम उसके कॉरस्पॉन्डिंग सप्लाई और डिमांड को देखेंगे, कंपेयर करेंगे, और उनमें से जो मिनिमम क्वांटिटी होगी वो उसमें एलोकेट कर देंगे. एपी, इफ यू से सेल एपी हैविंग द कॉस्ट ऑफ 12, व्हाट इज द सप्लाई? 500. व्हाट इज द डिमांड? 180.
180.
which out of them is small?
It's a demand.
Demand. तो 180 हम इसमें एलोकेट कर देंगे. एंड व्हेन यू एलोकेट 180, तो फिर आप एलोकेट कैसे करेंगे? हम उस सेल के अंदर ही एक और छोटा सा सेल बना के उसमें 180 लिख देंगे. एंड द मोमेंट वी एलोकेट 180, यू हैव टू बैलेंस इट. अब आपको उसमें से माइनस करना है. क्या करना होगा? जब आपने 180 एलोकेट कर दिया तो डिमांड तो स्टक ऑफ हो जाएगी, और उस पॉइंट की डिमांड हो जाएगी 0. और सप्लाई कितनी हो जाएगी? सप्लाई हो जाएगी 500 माइनस 180, दैट इज 320. मैं रिपीट कर रहा हूं. इन द सेल एपी we need to allocate the quantity. Which quantity? Whichever is smaller in comparison to demand and supply. Naturally, this is demand 180. We allocate the 180. The moment you allocate 180, now you have to balance. What balance? Demand is cancel out because 180, the total amount is transferred. So 180 will become 0. Supply 500 minus 180, it will become 320. Then we move to next cell and then so on and so forth. I will show you this calculation with the help of the slide which is here with me, that you will understand. इसको आप इस फिगर को जरा और से देखेंगे आप. Is this figure is visible?
Yes, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now see AP जो मैं भी आपको बताता 180 एलोकेट करा और नीचे देखिए 180 कैंसिल कर दिया, 0 रह गया और उसके कॉरस्पॉन्डिंग 500 में से रह गया 320. ये क्लियर है जो मैंने भी आपको बताया?
Yes, sir.
अब
Yes, sir.
we move to the next cell. Now the movement follow a logic. अब हम आगे बढ़ेंगे और जब हम मूवमेंट फॉलो करेंगे तो वी कैन मूव आइदर हॉरिजॉन्टली और वर्टिकली. डायगोनल मूवमेंट इज नॉट अलाउड. इस गेम में क्या है कि यू मूव हॉरिजॉन्टल और वर्टिकल, डायगोनल मूवमेंट इज नॉट अलाउड. तो अब हमें एपी सेल से आगे जाना है. तो अब हमारे पास क्या ऑप्शंस हैं? या तो हम AQ में जाएं या हम BP पे आए, या तो हम आगे चले जाएं AQ या हम नीचे आ जाएं BP पे. तो आप बताइए आप कि हम किधर की तरफ जाएं? वेयर शैल वी गो? आइदर वी
Sir,
मूव.
AQ.
Sir, AQ.
अच्छा BP पे क्यों नहीं?
AQ. So,
Because
we
demand
will
is
check
zero.
the. So we
सर बिकॉज
Because
पीक की
demand is
डिमांड
zero.
ऑलरेडी फुलफिल हो चुकी है.
That's a point. That the issue is that we cannot move to BP because demand तो वहाँ 0 हो चुकी पहले. अब हमारे पास वो रास्ता तो बंद हो गया. अब सिर्फ हम AQ पे जा सकते हैं. अब हम AQ पे आ गए. AQ पे let us compare. तो डिमांड AQ में कॉरस्पॉन्डिंग कितनी है हमारे पास? 150.
150.
150.
How much is the supply?
150.
How much is the supply?
320.
320.
320.
320.
That's good. क्योंकि 500 में से 180 पहले ही माइनस हो चुका है 320. Now which is smaller, 150 or 320?
So 150.
We allocate 150. So the moment you allocate 150, which is cancel out? Demand.
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 What is the remaining supply?
170.
170.
बिल्कुल सही. 320 minus 150, 170. अब हम फिर आगे बढ़ेंगे. अब हमारे पास दो रास्ते हैं. या तो हम AR पे जा सकते हैं या हम BQ पे आ सकते हैं. यानी सामने जा सकते हैं, नीचे जा सकते हैं. डायगोनल मूवमेंट अलाउ नहीं. किधर जाएंगे आप? BQ पे?
सर AR में जाएंगे क्योंकि Q की जो डिमांड है वो ऑलरेडी फुलफिल हो चुकी है.
It's already. So we have the option AR. AR पे गए, फिर कंपेयर किया. AR के कॉरस्पॉन्डिंग डिमांड कितनी है?
350.
और सप्लाई कितनी है?
170.
कौन सी कम है क्वांटिटी?
Supply.
सप्लाई कम है.
170. तो 170 इधर एलोकेट कर देंगे. जैसे ही 170 आप एलोकेट करेंगे तो सामने जो सप्लाई है दैट इज कैंसल आउट, दैट विल बिकम 0 एंड डिमांड विल बिकम हाउ मच? 350 माइनस 180. राइट. अब फिर आप आगे बढ़ेंगे. यू हैव टू चॉइस. आइदर यू मूव टू AS और यू मूव टू BR. Where can we move now?
No, sir.
Yes.
No, because supply is zero now.
हाँ, मैं तो AS पे जाना चाहता हूँ. तो फिर कैसे आप मुझे ये कन्विंस करेंगे कि AS पे नहीं जा सकते? Why
So
shall I?
The supply is zero.
वो रास्ता तो बंद हो चुका कि वहां तो सप्लाई 0 हो गई. तो अब तो सिर्फ जो ऑप्शन बचा वो BR का बचा. ना लेटेस्ट
sir.
कंपेयर BR में कितना है? नीचे 180 है और इधर कितना है? 300. विच इज स्मॉलर? 180. वी एलोकेट 180. अब 180 जैसे एलोकेट करा है तो 0 हो गया. अब फिर क्या ऑप्शन है मेरे पास आगे बढ़ने का? BS और फिर आखिर में CS. So automatically you move from one cell to another cell if you follow the logic and if you understand the basic. आपको कुछ करने की जरूरत नहीं है. आप खुद बखुद नेचुरली आगे बढ़ते चले जाएंगे. वही हमें बार बार सोचने की जरूरत है. हमें दो तीन चीजों का ख्याल रखना है. What we need to understand is that we can move either horizontal and vertical. Diagonal movement is not allowed. Every time we have to compare demand and supply. Whichever is smaller, we have to allocate, balance it, right? Cancel it out wherever it is. Take the subtraction wherever it is, and accordingly you move naturally from one cell to another cell. So quickly count how many cells we have now which are assigned. जिसको allocate कर देते हैं उसे कहते हैं assigned cell. How many assigned cells we have right now?
6.
6. So this is actually the initial feasible solution that we have allocated or we have chosen 6 paths AP, AQ, AR, BR, and BS and CS. So we have 6 cells which are allocated. Remaining cells are unallocated, unassigned cell. Okay. Now the issue is, ये आया initial feasible solution by northwest corner method. But the last point, this is initial feasible solution if it satisfy one basic condition. What is that basic condition that it needs to satisfy? The basic condition is that number of rows or column should be equal to m plus n minus 1. I'm sorry, number of assigned cells is equal to m plus n minus 1. Now, what is this number of assigned cells? Number of assigned cells, how many they are? 6. It should be equal to m plus n minus 1. That is number of rows plus number of column minus 1. हमें चेक करना है कि यह क्या ये दोनों चीजें आपस में बराबर आ रही हैं. So tell me, how many assigned cells we have?
6.
6.
How many rows we have? How many rows we have?
3.
3.
3 rows. 3.
Okay.
How many columns do we have?
4.
4 columns.
Please do not count demand and supply. I'm talking.
Okay, sir.
I'm talking rows and column in terms of origin and destination. Demand and supply are not the rows and the columns. Okay. So 3 rows and 4 columns.
4 columns.
M plus n minus 1. So 3 plus 4 7 minus 1 6. So is it
Yes, sir.
number of assigned cell equal to m plus n minus 1?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
If it is equal, that means this is the initial feasible solution. तो ये हमारा initial, यही मैंने करके इसमें रखा भी है. If you see, number of assigned cells equal to row plus column minus 1, 6 equal to 6. Left hand side equal to right hand side. Left hand side equal to right hand side. Solution is feasible. Last line. What is the final answer? What is the initial feasible solution? The initial feasible solution is the total cost of transportation. How do we get it? The total cost of transportation is 12 into 180 plus 10 into 150 and so plus 12 into 170. You multiply the quantity with the cost of the assigned cell and you will get the figure. तो जरा बताइए मुझे आखिर में क्या आंसर आ रहा है इसका? What is the total cost of transportation? Yes, what is the total cost of transportation according to northwest corner?
10,220.
All of you please cross check.
Yes, sir. 10,220.
Yes, sir.
ठीक. So now a quick summary of all the steps that we have taken here. अब आप बताइए कोई ऐसा स्टेप है जो आपको क्लियर नहीं हुआ है, आपका कोई डाउट है? ओके दुष्यंत, थैंक यू. 10,220 बिल्कुल सिंपल, उसमें विदाउट एनी हेसिटेशन, क्योंकि आप फर्स्ट टाइम देख रहे हैं इस मेथड को. कहीं कोई डाउट है, कोई कंफ्यूजन है तो आप क्लैरिफिकेशन लीजिए.
Sir, do we have to minimize the cost in this question?
It automatically comes out to be. The
Sir,
objective is-
because it is visible that BP and CP has a lower cost than the other, so how it can be minimized, sir?
No, that is per unit cost. You are looking into this, but we have to. There are two constraints in which we are working. One is the cost, and the other is the quantity. What you are looking into is only the cost, but you are ignoring the requirement of demand and supply. This method is devised to take the two things together. एक तरफ तो हमें क्वांटिटी की रिक्वायरमेंट पूरी करनी है और एक तरफ हमें कॉस्ट को भी मिनिमाइज करना है. खाली हम कम कॉस्ट को लेकर क्वांटिटी एलोकेट नहीं कर पाएंगे, क्योंकि वी हैव टू बैलेंस इट. वी हैव टू कंप्लीट द डिमांड ऑफ द मार्केट विद द सप्लाई. दैट्स ऑल.
Okay, sir.
वरना तो फिर पूरे मेथड की कोई जरूरत ही नहीं थी. जो मिनिमम कॉस्ट थी उससे हम क्वांटिटी मल्टीप्लाई कर देते, लेकिन उससे आप रिक्वायरमेंट पूरी नहीं कर पाए.
Okay, all right, sir. Yes, sir.
When you solve more problem, 2-3 problem, then you will get a real sense of this question. Why we have devised, and this is a flawless method. It has been devised, and there is no error, there is no challenge to this method at all, right? It's very simple, but it is, it is flawless. It is error-free method, The only thing is that you have to follow the rules of the game. That's it. कहीं कोई स्टेप ऐसा हो जो आपको क्लियर ना हुआ हो, उसके बाद फिर मैं यहाँ पे वाइंड अप कर रहा हूँ, और आई विल टेक अप लीस्ट कॉस्ट मेथड इन द नेक्स्ट क्लास, एंड देन वी विल सॉल्व मोर क्वेश्चंस दैट. So if you have no more question, shall I conclude?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
चल ठीक है, ओके.
Thank you so much, sir.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so
Thank you,
much.
sir.
Thank you, sir.